is, everybody. It's the Deck Casual with Eric. Eric Maille is here.
Yay!
Hi, Eric.
Hello.
And so I'm very excited to have you here because we are talking about we're doing a Deck Casual, but it's two decks.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Ink Witch Tarot deck and the Endless Oracle. So, because there you go. And okay, so I'm going to take a sip of water because I'm too excited. I see the notices popped. Okay, so Jonathan is here, and Jonathan is Jonathan made me do it, not really, because I know my limits and I purchased responsibly, because you were on with Jonathan and he was doing readings with this, and he was going to read from the book, and you said no, just read it intuitively. Best bit of advice.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Hershey, the shadow reader, is here. Hi, Hershey. So there you go. And but then I made Jaime do it because I'm like, oh, because you have this, and I went, oh, did you know that there's an expansion pack? And
I
there's
lost my mind. I was so angry. I'm so sorry, Eric. I was angry.
I understand. It's okay.
But then she got it. And
well, I got the expansion in the book. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then I ended up getting the Endless Oracle too. Which, yeah.
But, and Jonathan just got his. Everybody, the links are below for everything Eric.
Mm-hmm.
And your website is lovely because your website is it's right there, everybody. It's there, but you also have your portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And you have multiple things that people can enjoy.
Yeah.
So there you go. So anyhow, purchase responsibly. There you go. So, Jaime, say something so I can get my head back because I'm too
deep breath, big sip.
I love that the bottom of your cup says "hi" on it. That's that's nice.
I am an Easter egg.
He is an Easter egg. God knows.
Maruda is here as well. Jonathan said he needs to get the Ink Witch book.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do, Jonathan.
Now, see, I can say that to him. I'm not saying it to anybody else in the chat, but he's my friend, and I can tell him, yes, you do.
The book is also, you can download it on my website for free because it's not always in stock. It's kind of expensive to print, and I'm not really comfortable selling it for a whole lot more than I have in the past. And
right.
So,
well, see, Jonathan, there's a solution.
Yeah, there's a PDF you can download.
Yeah.
And you can make a donation for that PDF as well.
Yeah.
I did notice that. So, and I'm a person who, as with all of my magic tools, there needs to be an exchange of energy. So I will give an exchange of energy. So, okay. This just in, you're writing a second copy of this, correct?
Yes, correct. I'm making a whole second edition of Ink Witch, and since it's being updated, the book also needs to be updated. It's not going to be really different than the first one, but there are a few new cards, there's some new artwork, and I also just am better at putting my thoughts and ideas into words than I was when I wrote the first copy. So, new book.
Yeah, Jonathan, I need you to do your oh my God face for me. Anyway.
Well, I was actually, you can tell I was tabbing it because I was reading this the other day, and I'm going to share some things briefly from this because I think it's an important thing for people to understand is you have in this, you talk about, you give an explanation of how and why you design the card as you. And for me, that makes my little tarot collector, my little tarot stash heart flutter.
My favorite thing.
It is one of my favorite things, because that's why I do read the book usually after I've played with the deck for a while, but sometimes I want to get a snapshot. So
once a person has had a deck or two, you know, they kind of know what all of the cards mean. Or if they don't know what the cards mean, it's so easy to find out what they mean, because that information's everywhere. And so explaining the art was kind of like my main point of doing the book, because I always really appreciate that in decks, when the person who made it kind of explains why they did what they did a little bit.
It's a huge missing, thank you, Jonathan. It's a huge missing piece. If you have a deck and you're going through, and yeah, you know what a 9 of pence, a 9 of pence, a 9 of pence, right? You know that, but if there's something there that kind of triggers you, yes, you can go intuitively, but I want to know what you were thinking.
Right, me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity, I think, when folks don't do it. So I greatly appreciate it in this one.
I do, because one of the things that you say in here is, I feel at this time I should express that it was always my intention that the cards in Inkwitch can function at least relatively well without a guidebook.
Yeah.
And to answer that question is yes, they do. So
just fine.
And then I'm actually going to, look at me. I've got 6 or 7. And one of the other things that I want to talk about is what I really appreciate is you give reference and nods and credit to people who have influenced you with this, because you're actually, the Star Spinner Tarot and Line Strider Tarot are decks that have influenced you in your artwork.
Yeah. Star Spinner especially, I have been a big fan of Trung Le Nguyen's work since before he made that tarot deck. And so when he did make it, I was like, oh my God, this was made just for me. And he actually, I don't remember if he mentions it in his booklet that comes with the deck, or if it was something he mentioned on Instagram once, but he explained that his death card is the goddess Nyx with her son Thanatos, who is the god of death. And that explanation, like, I thought the card was really nice already. It looks like a mother holding a baby, and I thought that's really compelling for a death card. But knowing that it was Nyx and Thanatos made me appreciate it a million times more. And so that description was actually a big part of what made me want to write a book kind of explaining my artistic choices, just because I already had this experience of like, wow, knowing some details about why this artist made these decisions, I can appreciate this so much more now.
Oh yeah. Well, and I want to put up here, Beth Aspasia Rising said, I like that, Eric. Respect. I'm honoring the artist who inspired you, because if you are an artist working in a vacuum, so
I also think that, like, I always want to know the art that the artists I like for themselves, you know, because then I can go look at it and I can find more art that might be for me. So I kind of hope, like, by mentioning art that has influenced me, I sort of hope that people who maybe aren't familiar with them already can find them. And if they like them, then I've introduced them to somebody cool.
I love that. You're also talking about other influences, references to Greek, Egyptian, and Norse mythology, etc. So I love that.
Can I plug something in really, really fast?
Of course.
Just out of curiosity, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but how did you come to tarot?
Through my family, mostly my mom. She kind of gave tarot to our whole family. She was doing it as a teenager. And my dad is a historian, and his background as an academic is really geared toward early Christian history. And so through that, he has been really interested in witchcraft and the way that religion has kind of fought against or competed or absorbed pagan beliefs. And so his interest in tarot came from my mom, but it was already really like there in what he was studying academically. And so they both had an interest in it that they passed on to me and my sister. And so we're just a whole little tarot family.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I also love what you talk about reversals. And it's like, you know, it's important not to confuse reversed with the word opposite.
Mhm.
I was like, I highlighted that. So I was like,
or negative. I feel like a lot of people feel like reversed often means the opposite of the upright meaning, or that it's like the bad version of the card. And
exactly.
And I feel like sometimes those things might come into play, but that isn't really what it is. It's more of the idea of, or at least for me, you know, every reader's different, but for me, and I think a lot of people, it's more of the idea of like opposition against that standard meaning. So
yeah. So basically, what people are getting is they're getting. I mean, well, let me ask you this: what do your parents think of the deck?
Oh, they love it. Yeah, they're my biggest fans. So,
well, please let them know that we are fans as well. Hashtag good parenting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I love here in the book, you actually say on page 23, for those of you who are following at home, in the glossary of cards, you say, I recommend to not hang too tightly on this guide. It's like, exercise your intuition. And I'm like, that's brilliant. That's
yeah,
brilliant.
you mentioned that with when I did the live with Jonathan with the Endless Oracle. But I feel like reading any kind of cards in general, the whole point of it is to kind of tap into the things that are in your mind that you're sort of unpacking or aren't really fully aware of. And so I'm a huge believer in, and if you get a vibe, that's what something means.
Yep.
I agree with you.
Okay, I'm going to get caught up on chat. Beth said, yes, I love it when artists, creators explain their choices. I think it's fascinating and helps me read their cards. And yeah, and Jeffrey said creative process, so that's good. Marita says, I agree. Learning why the artist added every element enhances the everyday meaning of the cards. And Beth again said, oh, we already got you that respect. And I love when creators go into the details of their artworks and write-ups. And if that's missing, I often skip reading the book. You know what? And I think we appreciate it. And I know it's really hard. How do you capture this intuitive response to this card and the action of making artwork? So I appreciate it. So and Vanessa said, oh, lovely in this oracle, and the sky reminds me of Gerald's in the background.
Oh yeah,
that's fun. I like that. So okay, so I'll stop talking about that, and I will, listen to me, I'll stop talking about that for a minute. Okay, so I have the version, I don't know which. This is just the first version, right?
Yeah, it's just the first edition. It's the only version there is for now.
Okay. And to clearly tell people the size of the deck, it's the same size as a standard RWS. So like that. For the Inkwitch, you buy the companion book, which is not required, separately, or you can download from the website. Hashtag make a donation. Cardstock. Jamie, what do you think about the cardstock?
I like it for the simple fact that I have screwed up hands and I can shuffle it like a mother. Makes me happy. Would I like linen? Yes, I would. But if I can't have that, I will take shuffleability.
There you go. And it is not edged unless you are Jamie. When you have edged it, and you edged it with what?
Chocolate brown, except for the expansion.
That was a good choice. Good color choice.
Yeah, it's so you had said earlier something about, edging it in black, and I have a vinyl black, and that was my initial, I was going to go with the vinyl. And then I was like, no, I want to pick up these hues in this kind of a camel tan color on the black. I'm like, no, I want to pick that up. And I think it did really well.
I think it's a good, like, it picks up that same color, but it's a dark, like the black would be. I think that's why I like it so much, because you get the like sepia tone, but still nice and dark.
Yeah. But it matches very well with the front. So.
And Beth asked, it riffle shuffles, Jamie?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I riffle shuffle. I love it.
That was actually a big part of why I chose that cardstock, is because I love to riffle shuffle. I feel like, how people have whatever rituals people have before they can do a reading, before like they feel in the right thing. I have to get like the perfect riffle, and then I'm like, it's ready.
Right.
And so
Agreed.
I have to have a deck that can get that perfect riffle, but I also have to have one that, like, if it starts to warp a little bit because I've riffled it 1,000 times, I need one that can like kind of be bent back into shape. So
yeah, I haven't had an issue with your decks.
Nope, not at all. And trust me, since I've gotten it, I have been shuffling it a lot, and it's one of those that I've shuffled just because it's nice to shuffle.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Agreed.
Pamela Batchelor is here and says, "Hi everyone, I'm a fan of both of these decks. The Endless Oracle is so fun. I can actually live in many of these cards." Yep. And Pamela also said, "I've been using the Endless Oracle to soften the Somnia Tarot.
Oh,
so
no
I
shit.
have a safe place nearby."
I like that.
Huh.
Yeah. And
Pamela, dear friend and fellow student.
Pamela's, Jamie's making a note of that. Did you write that down too, Eric?
I did just write that down.
Yeah. Pamela, good on you. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because I see, I'm going to give a spoiler here, but this Oracle, tarot aside, the Oracle is like, I don't have a card I dislike.
Yeah, I feel
and that is shocking.
Yeah, that surprises. I have cards I dislike, and I made it. So
don't tell us. Don't tell us.
I don't have any. So that's Pamela. Thank you.
Yeah. How many cards are in the expansion pack?
10. There are 10.
Okay. And we can talk about those a little bit, but you do a very nice job of explaining the extra cards in the book. I'm not going to go. I'm just saying. So there's 10. Okay. We'll stop there. Full stop, Gerald.
Whoa.
What?
Full stop. Whoa.
Jonathan said, it switched out several cards. The expansion pack gives you the ability. You have added 3 lovers and 3 devils, and you are a smart reader in that the devil and the lovers cards relate to each other.
Yeah, they match if you want them to.
Yes. You also had the High Priestess. Look at me, I'm trying to figure this out. The High Priestess, the King of Pentacles, and Justice.
And the Sword.
And the King of Swords.
Yeah, and the King of Swords. Yes. So
because I will tell you, that little King of Swords, that young boy, he got ripped out of that deck real fast.
I mean, that was my whole reason for making both the King of Pentacles and the King of Swords. I put those in the expansion just because I wanted to get rid of the first ones. So yeah, those got swapped in my copy too.
You're impatient.
I love this. Beth is like, can we see some? Can we see some? Yes, you can see some. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to show some of my favorites, and I'm going to cheat because I have a favorite of the Empress and the Emperor, and the reason
favorite.
I there's no gender in this.
Fair. Fair.
And it is just, okay, am I going to put that crown on, or am I not going to put that crown on? Is it being offered to me? Is it being taken away from me? So I am a huge fan of these two cards. When I saw them, I went, ooh, that's good.
Okay, so the opposite. There's nothing wrong with these cards. I agree with every single thing that Gerald said, except for when I am doing quick, give me the answer, I don't want to have to look too hard at something. I know that there's numbers, I know that there's names, but sometimes your eye is just drawn. And I had to, there's a flower on the Empress. And so it's like, okay, fine. But initial hot take is like, don't make me think about it. Just let it flow. And I have to think about it. Am I going left, right? Which one's the Emperor? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's a few. It's a little weird, and it shows how much I think my mind was all over the place when I was working on that deck. There's some cards where like the picture is this really big scene full of lots of little detailed symbols, and then there's other cards like those two where it's like just a crown and that's it, or
and there's
like
nothing wrong with that. Really.
But it does kind of affect, like, I totally see what you're saying. It definitely affects how you read, because there isn't really all that much to pick at or digest in those cards. There's nothing in them that's going to really, they're almost like the major arcana equivalent of like a pip card in some ways.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, you know, what I really like about it is, you know, something that annoys Jaime, but she gets over it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
One thing I'm excited for working on the second edition of this deck is that I have mirrored the images on those two cards so that if you put them side by side, the wrists won't be coming out of each other. It will look like two hands across from one another. So as soon as I started working on the second edition, I was like, finally fix that goddamn Empress and Emperor.
Good for you.
Yeah. Well, okay. Who would like to go next, sharing one of their favorite cards?
Eric, you want to go?
Sure, I can go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite card in the deck is the Star. It's my favorite card in tarot in general. But this is the Star, and I like this card partially just because I like what the Star represents as a card. But it's based off of like an actual experience that I had that felt very Star related. I had been going through a lot of stuff at the time and took a short little road trip with some friends. And on our drive home from the road trip, I remember like sitting in the car and really consciously having like a gratitude moment of like, wow, this was really good. And I feel like things are like better because of this, or they're getting better. Like I can see the horizon now. And like right as I'm having this thought, we all saw at the same time a shooting star go across the sky and got to have this moment together of like, oh my God, did you see the type of thing? And so that's my car down there on the road. And yeah, so it's very personal to me. And the Star is also just my favorite card in tarot. So that's my favorite card in the whole deck.
That's awesome.
It's beautiful. And, you know, and one of the things that I appreciate is some people think, you know, they think of ink as in black and whites. And again, we have a range of ink tones.
Yeah.
So, which is really quite nice. So
the ink in the name is mostly just a reference to it being drawn in ink. It was all drawn by hand using alcohol-based ink and watercolor. So, but it is kind of colorful for ink.
Yeah.
Jaime, you're up.
Well, to save time for things, because I have a lot. So 3 favorites. Are you ready?
Okay.
4 cups.
Oh, it's one of mine.
8 of Swords.
It's one of
Because
mine.
you were thinking outside of the box, baby. And the 3 of Pentacles. Because who doesn't love a bee? Yeah,
Okay.
these 3 cards are just scrumptious to me because I think that in many decks, and this is me, I ain't an expert, this is my own shit. I feel like most of the time the swords are misunderstood in art, and it's bothersome. And that card right there, it's genius.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that one. I was also, I mean, I am still really proud of the 3 of Pentacles, but when I made that card, I felt like I was being so creative and so clever for having it be a beehive. I had never seen that before. And then since I've been more like in the tarot community, I've actually learned that a lot of people have done that. It was not nearly as creative as I thought, but I am still really proud of that one.
Yeah.
Good.
And this one is because we have a cat at our clinic who is basically my cat, and there's a dragonfly in that, and so it's me and the stupid cat, and I can see her in this card. So it makes me happy.
I love this card because I am like, this is totally what a cat would do. It's like, oh, there's 4 cups. Let's knock one down. You know, I love that. I mean, that has personality.
Very much so.
And Pamela said, while I'm the figure by the fire in the Endless Oracle, the pair moves me to tears as ink. Yep. Yeah, they are cool. They are cool. So, okay. I have 2 more major, and I'm a huge fan of the Strength card. What a powerful message. And I love this. In one image, you have the whole story that happens.
That's a great wheel.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. So I like that. And I'm like, you know, dude, I mean, come on. It's like, yeah. Okay.
All right. I wasn't following the format of staying in the majors. I went like right down the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, I kind of chose some minors also.
Well, I did too.
I do have 3 favorite majors if you want them.
Well, let's let Eric go next.
Oh, well, some of my favorite majors are probably, I think, like a lot of the popular favorite majors, with the exception of one, maybe. The 3 majors that I also took Strength out. I'm very happy with the Strength card, but the other 3 that I chose are Death, the Chariot, and the Hangman. And
nice.
I like the Chariot because this is my car again. I base this off of the car that I drive, which I just really like my car. It's gas efficient and reliable and the things that you want in a Chariot. And then the other 2 cards, the Death and the Hangman, are just nice mythological references that I like. The Hangman is Odin, which I've noticed that a lot of people who haven't looked at the companion book or just aren't as familiar with Norse mythology don't know that, and they're very startled to see an actual hangman on the card. But Odin's story is so perfect for the hangman just because it's about self-sacrifice leading to changed perspective. It's exactly the hangman card. So, and then the death card is Persephone, who's like the goddess of spring and life and rebirth, but she's also the queen of the underworld. So it's a good metaphor for the death card.
And I love that pop of color for the pomegranate. It's like, oh yeah, So, all right, Jaime, you're up.
I also had the Chariot, the Magician, and then one of the cards that's in the expansion. Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's talk about. Okay, so there's the Magician. want to give people a chance to see it. Anything you want to say about that before I turn it over, Jamie?
Nope. It's perfect.
And this is the High Priestess, which is in the expansion pack. And I will let you talk, and then I'll show the original.
You'll let who talk?
You, Jamie.
Oh, well, you kind of have to. Sorry, dude. I don't know. I mean, you could be asking weird. This is just lovely. It reminds me of my mom. And that's really all I have to say about that.
Okay. This is the original in the deck, correct?
Yeah,
And
and
expansion.
I still use the original in my copy. I really like the original, but it's definitely like sort of a different High Priestess than I think a lot of people are used to. I think people tend to like it a little bit better after they've read about it in the companion book. But it's still, even with that description, it's still a little bit different than I think what people expect with a High Priestess card.
See, and I have both in, Eric, because
cool.
Because the chessboard also reminds me of my mother. She was a hell of a chess player. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I have all of the cards in my deck, the expansion pack. What I have done is the ones that are not my chosen ones, I have reversed. So when you're looking through them, they'll be the opposite. If I'm looking through and I'm seeing the faces, I'll see the back of that card. And if it shows up in the reading, it just tells me that there's an aspect that I need to, do. One thing the reason that I have these both in mind is this High Priestess is very strategic and all powerful. This High Priestess is all powerful and very intuitive. I would not want to mess with either of them.
Yeah.
I definitely think that the second one, the one from the expansion, has like a more magical vibe that people like from High Priestess cards typically, whereas I've heard a lot of people tell me that when they first see the High Priestess, the original one with the chessboard, at first they think it's an Emperor card before they realize that it's a High Priestess card, because it's a chessboard and you think of like kings and queens and leadership and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't get that vibe, because I didn't get that vibe.
I didn't either. I sort of went, oh, this is very, very potent, and it gives. I'm a firm believer that there are lots of aspects to the tarot, to each card, and it just shows two of them. And I want to pull this out. Beth said, "Strength." The photo is called "Flower Power" by Bernie Boston, and was in the Washington Evening Star in 1967. So that's the vibe. So,
yeah, that's what the art was based off of.
Yeah, it's great. Eric, do you have some that you'd like to show?
Well, one that I think I'd like to talk about, it's not necessarily one of my favorites, but I thought it might be worth talking about, is the Ten of Pentacles, because it looks like, it looks like a Nine of Pentacles. And like what you would expect as a Nine of Pentacles. And that's just because it references more Norse mythology that not everybody knows. And I think even if you did know it, you wouldn't necessarily realize that's what you were looking at. The picture on the card is of a goddess named Idun, and she grows the fruit that the gods eat to stay immortal. And so it is the Ten of Pentacles idea of like passing things on to other people, and of like inheritance and legacy and that immortality thing. But just the look of it is incredibly Nine of Pentacles, abundancy. And so I get people, like I see flip throughs and stuff on YouTube every now and then of people looking through the card and being like, oh my God, I think these are mixed up. But they're not.
This is the Nine of Pentacles, and this is the 10. So yeah.
And the only thing that would make that that 9 perfect is what?
I don't know. Could it be a snail on it, Jamie?
Yes.
Jamie has a thing about snails on her 9 of Pentacles.
Oh, what's that about?
It's
Yeah, what's that
traditional.
about, Jamie?
It's traditional, and he belongs there.
Is there a snail in the 9 of Pentacles?
Sir.
How have I never noticed that? I've got to find a picture now.
Jamie, here, hold this soapbox while I find the 9 of Pentacles for
Okay,
you.
holding. Soapbox. Yeah, I'm.
Oh my gosh, there is a snail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, Jamie Sawyer. I'm probably one of her biggest fans, but she put out a deck and there was no snail, and then in the new iteration there is a snail, and it makes me so very happy.
I don't know how I would fit a snail on that card. I've got to come up with a way to put a snail there.
There's got to be a little piece of ground, and there's a little snail.
Don't be making any changes just to please Jamie.
I like the snail. I just somehow never noticed it was there. Too busy looking at the bird, I think.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. Yep.
Yeah, the snail is a very important in the 9 of Pentacles, apparently. And so
it changes the way that I think of the 9 of Pentacles. Like already I'm thinking about like slow and steady and not being worried about moving quickly. Yes. And the snail's going to eat from that garden also. And
yes.
Yeah, already the way I look at the 9 of Pentacles has already changed in the past couple of seconds. So
wow. Okay. There you go. You heard
My
it here
dreams
first.
have come true.
Okay, so I have 3 more that I like.
Okay.
I this is just a pleasing image, the 2 of Wands. I like the shift and the I like the it's creative. You use this it's a creative tool, but you also use it for planning from a bigger picture. So I can't remember what the hell you call that thing, because I'm going to take a sip of water and somebody in the chat. What is this thing called, Eric?
I can't remember now.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a compass. It might have a special name because it doesn't have the little part that draws. It's like for measuring things.
Yeah.
Protractor.
Protractor, I think, is like
compass. It's got to be a compass.
Compass.
Protractor.
Yeah, that's a protractor. You're right. It's got to be a compass.
Compass. Pia's life is still learning. Asked about the snail. So, or is it a caliper? Calipers.
Oh, there we go. I was just going to use Mr. Google.
Isn't it Ms. Google?
Depends on your perspective, I suppose.
Okay. So there, I like this image. It makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Okay. Jamie, you want to go next? Because I have 2 more. And the last one I'm going to be embarrassed about, but that's okay.
Really?
Oh, that makes me think I already know which one it is.
King of Pentacles is my last favorite.
Which version? This one version?
The new one. Yeah.
I felt like the first version of the King of Pentacles, I felt like because playing card suits like have a connection to the tarot suits, it made me feel like that card was maybe implying that like the King of Pentacles has like all of the king powers or something, and I didn't feel like it was the right. Yeah, I ended up feeling like that needed to be different.
Yeah, I like the cartomancy, the original. I like the thought of that because I do read playing cards, so I dig that. But when this was offered up, it's like, okay, bye-bye.
Well, and I like how in the book you talk about this, Eric, and you're choosing the type of dragon and and your thought process about it. And I'm not going to spoil it for everybody for when they purchase responsibly and know their limits, following the links below. You know, there you go. So.
And excuse me, sir. Pamela's comment.
Apparently, I might have to make that a stretch goal or something. I don't know if I have any linen decks. Does it shuffle as well? Because that's what I want, is really good shuffling.
Oh my, yes.
It shuffles very, very nicely. And the other thing is,
go ahead.
The other thing is I do know that linen is much more expensive.
It is.
So, and it's not for everyone, but you also can't have a high gloss on a linen, or you should never have a high gloss, because I never want a high gloss.
Well, so here's the difference in a shuffle, in a riffle shuffle, where you have linen versus a cardstock like this. If you have any hand issues, or if you don't, you can send this across the room. With linen, it's going to shuffle just as well, but with the texture, it keeps it from going this way.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing is the linen may be more like a playing card.
It is. Yeah.
Like playing cards.
It's got like weave to it that you can see.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
but it doesn't stick like a rose petal or anything like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Eric, you do you. We're, you know.
Well, you know, I might really like linen. I don't think I have any linen deck.
This is, you know, a linen. You're not able to see. There's a slight anyhow. You can't see it. Anyhow. Okay. Pia's life is learning about the importance of the snail. So good for you, Pia. Eric, do you have another one?
The last one that I pulled out from Inkwitch was the King of Cups, which is a reference to. This was another one I chose just because it's a reference to something that I think even if you know the thing, you wouldn't necessarily catch the reference. It's a reference to the Fisher King, which is an Arthurian character who he is responsible for like keeping the Grail. Like he's the one who holds it while Arthur and his knights go looking for it, but it isn't something that he needs. It isn't something that he can use. And so there was kind of this idea of like the King of Cups is somebody who's so good at cups that he doesn't really have to think about it. He doesn't really need it. He just is the King of Cups. So it's the Fisher King, and I think that even if you're familiar with who that is, you wouldn't know that. So I pulled it out just so that I could tell people that.
Right.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think that's good.
And Pia says, I'm always learning. And it's like, we all are, man.
We all are. And I have the best chatters because they're throwing stuff out. They're asking questions. And we're all supporting each other as we're learning.
I just learned about the snail. I did not know it was there.
There you go. And Beth said, the King of Cups reminds me of my dad. He went fishing in Missouri every year. It was his happy place.
Yeah. It's a cool card.
It is a cool card. Love the story. One of the cards that I pulled out is I'm particular about the Eight of Wands. And this one is not your ordinary Eight of Wands where you see wands going in a direction. This is like what it's like to be in ritual, or when you are in your flow, you're taking that energy and you're building it, and together with others, it multiplies, and it's just incredible.
Yeah.
I wanted that I feel like a lot of Eight of Wands cards really get that idea of like momentum and like things happening fast. But I wanted to kind of focus more on like the actual act of putting something into motion, of like casting your spell and then that's going to have momentum, but I wanted it to sort of have the reminder of like, you have to put it into motion though. Like it will have momentum if you give it the momentum.
Well, what I like about it is that it's not static in any way, shape, or form.
No.
A lot of Eight of Wands, they're purporting to have motion, but do they really feel like they're moving? And this one, you can feel the movement, which is groovy.
Yeah. And
sure.
that is actually something you do in a lot of these cards. You give us movement, that sense of movement. And in the in the Endless Oracle, which we'll get to shortly, you capture us in a sense of place, and you invite us in, and we become part of it. So, and as Rachel Pollack said when studying tarot, it will never end. Something like that. Okay.
I hope it never ends, because then you become a bore and a know-it-all.
Well, there you go. Okay, Jaime, go ahead.
No, this is for the next. This is for the Oracle.
Okay. All right. Eric, did you have any more? Because I have one card this is the one where I blush when I look at it. Do you know what it is? What is it, Eric?
I think this is the Knight of Wands.
It is totally the Knight of Wands, because I am like going, oh yeah. Oh yeah. It makes my little, it makes my gay heart flutter. I'm just like going, yeah, there you go. All right. So Jeffrey's on the other. He's like, let me see that card.
I had a group of this customers and asked if I would Zoom with them and talk about the deck while they were using it. And while we were talking about it, somebody in that group, I wish I could remember her name, but she said something that I really loved about how she thinks of the Knights of Wands as like her boyfriends, and she thinks of the Knights as her boyfriends, and the Knight of Wands is like the toxic guy that you're into, and you feel a little guilty for being into him. And I was like, exactly, that's the Knight of Wands.
Jaime, avert your gaze. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Using the tiny hands. Come on. Take a selfie and send it to me. There you go.
Oh Lord.
All right. Apologies if I've, upset anybody's, delicate sensitivities. If I have, get over your bad self. So, okay. So we're going to talk about the Endless Oracle. Endless Oracle is the same size, and it does come in a lovely box.
Beautiful box.
A beautiful box. I mean, look at that inside. Come on, people. I mean, really? I mean, it's yeah. Anyhow, one thing I wanted to point out is you described this deck as I'm going to pronounce it incorrectly, Myriorma?
I'm going to be honest and admit that I'm not entirely sure how that's pronounced either, because I've only ever seen it written. I've been pronouncing it Myriorama because I think it's
Myriorama, yes.
Panoramas, but
yes,
that's all honestly also a guess.
No, that's good, because and anyhow, so that picture cards based upon picture cards, so it's great. Maruda asked, I'm going to put you on the spot, Eric, why toxic? Why not just passionate?
So I wouldn't say that the Knight of Wands is always toxic. I just think he has a lot of potential to be toxic. I think that he is passionate. He's really charismatic, and sometimes that makes him really cocky, really full of himself. I don't think that Knight of Wands is like inherently about toxic people. But I do think when I get that card in readings, I do feel like I have to kind of like check myself and be like, am I behaving appropriately? Like, am I getting a big head about things? Am I showing off?
Yeah. Am I thinking with my head? The one here?
Right.
What? Jaime?
I can't take you anywhere.
Of course you can take me anywhere. Anyhow, Eric's never coming back, people. So, by the way, all of Eric's links are below. And seriously, go enjoy his website, their website, because you've got a nice portfolio. You also have a Lenormand deck, which I don't have yet, but everybody purchase responsibly, know your limits. So, Jamie, how many of these do you have? By the way, here's the back of the Endless Oracle. You have 4?
I do.
Okay. How many do you have, Eric? Hey, Thomas.
I pulled out 7.
Ooh, you start. You start. And by the way, read the name, because I am an overachiever. I actually have all of these in alphabetical order.
Oh, wow. That is overachiever.
What happened here?
Well, some of them I just pulled out because I am just really proud of the artwork.
Sure.
So, like these 2 specifically, this is the lightning striking, and this one is the herald. And I chose these just because it's really hard to draw lightning, and it's really hard to draw rainbows in a night sky, and I feel like I did a good job. That's me being a Knight of Wands person, but I am just really proud of how they turned out. And the Herald is kind of funny, especially because my original plan for that card was to have a figure on horseback blowing into a trumpet, but I had been working on a bunch of cards before that had human figures on them. And so by the time I got to the Herald, I really wanted to work on the card because I'd been practicing putting a rainbow on a night sky, and I was really ready to work on it, but I was also so tired of drawing people. And so just kind of on a whim, I was like, it's going to be a swan. The Herald's just going to be a bird. It doesn't need to be a person. And so that's why it's a swan.
I like that. And Lori Kramer is here. Hi, Lori. And Vanessa said, I'm glad you decided to include the cave. I do have to say something about lightning strike is I can smell that lightning.
That makes me happy.
That's how powerful that is. It's like, ooh.
I feel like I hear it, and that was an artistic goal that I had, was I wanted to hear the sound of the thunder.
And no, Beth, we'll show the other cards toward the end. So, okay. Jamie, did you want to show?
Sure. So one of the cards is a stalker card, and it's the figure by the fire. But I feel this card. I sit where this person is sitting, and you can smell the smoke, you can feel the crisp air, you can just sit down and have a chat. Love it.
This is in my favorites as well.
Is that?
Mine too. Yeah. I feel really sentimental about that card too, because it was one of the very first ones that I designed. When I very first decided I wanted to do the Myriorama thing, I just came up with 4 cards, and they didn't even really have meanings necessarily. It was just I was thinking about images that might look good, things that would feel like they had a meaning. And I drew that one. I drew the goddess, the distant walled city, and the archway. Those were kind of the very first 4 cards that I had any idea were going to be in the deck. So I have a very sentimental attachment to the figure by the fire.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I like that. I like the fairy circle or the fairy ring.
Me too.
Yeah. So, okay. And you look happy that we like this. I'm
happy about that because it was almost sort of a last second decision to put in there, and I wasn't really sure if it would ever happen. I had at one point a list of 70 or 80 cards, and then I was like, this is insane. If I should just make a tarot deck if I'm going to do that. And I mean, now I am, but it was unwieldy at the time, and I was worried I wouldn't finish if I didn't pare it back. And so when I was doing the Kickstarter for the stretch goals, I chose 3 of the cards that I had taken out of that original really big list, that I was a little bit not sure if I wanted to take them out or not. So it was like put them as a maybe. And the fairy ring was one of those. And so I just like that people like it because it almost there.
And psst, Eric, never too many cards.
Never too many cards.
It's an oracle.
Never too many cards.
I mean, those others will probably show up eventually.
Shocking.
Well, yeah, because, you know, this is endless.
Right, exactly.
He's going to make one now that's just a snail. You know,
I just might, honestly.
I love the fairy ring. Every time I hike with one of my sons, he says, "You're looking for fairy rings, aren't you?"
Oh, that's sweet.
I love that.
it.
Because and here's one of the things that is really nice about this deck when you use it. Going to heap praise in your general direction. Is you know, here I am by the fire. I turn around and this is what I see. You can tell a story. You can go on a journey, and I actually think that that's something I would challenge people to do. Is like mix up all of these cards, and then tell yourself a story about what's going on.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll stop. So, do you have another one you want to show us, Eric?
I'll talk about the waterfall. This card's very special to me because I made it fairly early on in the process of illustrating the deck, and like it had maybe like 10 or 12 cards finished by the time I got to this one. And I would do this thing when I was working on the cards where when I finished one, I'd set that artwork next to the other artwork and kind of like make sure everything was lining up correctly and looking cohesive, and that everything was like kind of panning out the way it needed to. And the waterfall card, like we were saying earlier, it means really whatever your intuition latches onto when you see it. But my thought process behind it was the idea of patience and consistency and the things that you can erode or build if you take a lot of time and don't worry about what's happening right now, but just kind of think about that long haul picture. And so since I made that artwork fairly early on, it did this nice thing where anytime I finished a card after that one, I'd be putting them all side by side and making sure everything was lining up, and I'd see the waterfall and be like, oh yeah, you don't need to rush right now. You just need to worry about that very slow, gradual process of erosion. And it was just a really nice reminder to have while working on something as big as this project was. So it has sort of built a very special place in my heart because of that.
That's awesome.
I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Jaime, what do you got?
Well, I have 2 that I put together all the time. Well, they show up together all the time. The observatory and the lighthouse. So, you know, you're on the water and you're this unattainable kind of building, but, you know, it gives you light and hope and the whole nine. But then you're also up on the mountain and you're in, you know. Yeah, I like the 2 of these cards a lot.
I like that I don't know if I've ever really seen them next to each other. And I like, I like that they can be looking at each other or away from each other.
Either way.
They're both something that feels very much like it's looking out at something, and they do look cool together. They fit together nice in a way that wasn't intentional, but worked out really well, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, and Beth said, OMG, you should do a snail card. Close up of a snail on a castle wall. Same castle shown afar on the 9 of Pentacles.
Eric, I'm sorry.
No, I actually really appreciate that. I think that's a great idea.
I'm really sorry. I feel bad.
Don't be sorry. No, I'm thanking you.
I like the gathering clouds because I am there. We've seen that. Is it a gathering in the sense of something bad is coming, something good is coming, or is it just a refreshing rain that needs to happen? I feel the wind that comes with those gathering clouds. It reminds me of my father because my father was a amateur radio operator who helped to do Skywarn, which is weather spotting, tornado spotting. So, yeah, that's just great. So, anyhow, okay, Eric, do you have another one?
I had the Graveyard, which is a little bit like the Endless Oracles version of a death card. I mean, there's a couple, like the Butterfly is also a little bit of a death card type thing, but I put the Pamela Coleman Smith rose on that headstone in the foreground, just as kind of a nod to her death card. And I've been putting that in every deck that I've made in some capacity. My Lenormand deck has that same rose on its coffin card.
That's
and
nice.
The flowers that are growing around Persephone on the Inkwitch death card are also kind of a reference to it. So I just want to put that in the decks that I make, I guess. But that's where it is in this one.
Yeah. Jonathan said it really is an endless deck. So many great cards.
Yeah.
You know what I have not done is I have not mixed both the Endless Oracle and the Inkwitch together. I've not mixed them together. That, I would probably do that. So Vanessa said a linen edition for both decks, please. Sorry.
Really like the linen.
Well, I would want you to have a linen experience first.
I think that I would need to before I printed one in linen, but I also, after this conversation, feel like I need to have a linen experience because I don't have any linen decks, and apparently they're a big deal. So,
yes.
Okay, Jamie, how many do you have? Because then I want to show the extra from the Inkwitch.
Sure. I have 3 that work together, that show up together. Okay, whether they go together, I don't know. I don't care. So, up the mountain I go. So I am the Wandering Mountain Bardic Path. That's me. So up the mountain I go. My dog waits. Always got to have a dog card, man. That's what sold me, okay?
Oh, yeah?
And then I sit and I contemplate the loss.
Okay, so here's the mountain. And we have the dog. And what was the last one, Jamie?
Fallen Hero.
I'm not fast enough.
Yeah, I told you, man, when I told you that I loved these cards, I was not saying it to stoke your ego. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
That means a lot. Well. It does stoke my ego, though.
Yeah, they read very well.
They do. They read very well, and I can't wait to play with them with other cards, with other decks, more of them. So
I'm really relieved that they read well for other people because anything I make, I'm making like mostly for myself. And so I knew that I would really enjoy it. And as soon as I got my first test print, I was like, oh yeah, this is great. But I was not sure if that was like just because I knew the thought process behind them or whatever. So it's been, since mailing it out to people, it's been a huge relief that other people have been able to connect to it. So that's great.
Yeah.
And they fit together in here.
Oh, I like that.
There you go. I like the pair because they're gender neutral. They're just 2. And that's what's necessary. I appreciate that.
I agree.
So it's great. And, a bonus one that I have is the ones who came before. That just strikes a chord with me. It's quite beautiful. I like how it strikes a chord. It's great. I don't know what else to say to that. Do you have any else you want to show us, Eric, before I actually pull out the duplicates for the lovers and the devil?
The last one that I pulled out was the healer, which I kind of like. I like the concept behind it just because it's about healing and being healed, and I think that's important to have in a deck. But I also just like this card because it went through like a big process throughout making the deck. I kind of started working on the deck with a plan to have some cards that would be sort of like characters, like there would be places and events and characters. And at one point, one of the characters was called the princess. And then I went through a process where I was thinking, no, I don't think I want to gender any of the names in the deck. And so I've got to come up with something else for this. And the reason she was called the princess at first was because I wanted a card based off of Ariadne, who's in Greek mythology. She's the Minotaur's half sister, the human who helps Theseus kill her half brother. And I think she's the most compelling character in Greek mythology to me. I feel like she has this really selfless attitude of like being willing to put herself at great personal risk to help these people that she doesn't know, even though it requires not just her own risk, but sacrificing her brother. And so I think she's really compelling in that way. And that was kind of the thought process behind the princess card. And then it went through this whole trip to become a healer who's, you know, altruistic and very giving and willing to help anybody with what they need. So there's off in the distance, there's these people like leaving their weapons by the gate of a garden so that they can come and visit this healer. And that started out, it was going to be a princess sitting down, and instead of the bowl that she's holding, it was going to be a spool of thread.
Okay.
But yeah, it went through a big elaborate process to become what it was. So I just think it's kind of a fun card to see now and know where it started.
I like the little pops of color.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Your value and your color, you know how to use those effectively. Like I said, you know, I look at these cards and I am drawn in. You know, I am there. I get it. So, okay. So I am trying to find, I want to show some of the different cards. And I have actually I want to talk about in the Ink Witch, this is the original Justice, right?
Yes.
And then this is the additional Justice.
Yep.
So you know, I mean, just to show people what they are, I have kept both of them in there because for me, this one is it's a bigger Justice piece, and for this one, it's personal.
I like that.
So, because for those, would you be willing to tell people who this image is based upon?
Sure. Yeah, this is based on a photo of Marsha P. Johnson, who's a lot of people I'm probably preaching to the choir, but she was a gay and trans rights activist before trans. We really had like that word, but I felt I had made that artwork before I actually printed the very first copies of Ink Witch, and couldn't decide which Justice I wanted to put in the deck, but I felt like a lot of people probably weren't going to recognize her, and I also felt like she wasn't going to be I feel like she's a really great figure for Justice. I think most people would think she's a really great figure for Justice, but she also had like a very specific group of people that she was fighting for. And so I liked that the Justice card that's in the base deck is a little bit more broad. That could be anybody or any group of people marching behind her. And so that was my reasoning for putting that in the base deck. But I actually made both versions of those cards a long time before the expansion came out.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. So Jonathan asked Eric, when will the expansion of the Endless Oracle be released, and how many cards do you think will be in it in the expansion? No pressure.
Yeah. The honest and short answer is that I have no idea. I'm working on quite a few things right now, like the second edition of Inkwitch. I'm also working on a collaborative project with Thomas from Hermit's Mirror and Michael Anthony, who does The Diviner Life.
What? You're doing
yeah.
something with Thomas?
I love Thomas.
He's great. We're doing like an apothecary themed oracle deck, and the artwork is all different plants. We have an herbalist, Michael Anthony, who's teaching us all about plants, and so each card is going to be a plant coupled with a human figure. So this is artwork that I made for coffee, and this is artwork that I made for raspberry. So it's a thing. This is my main priority right now. So it's hard to think about.
Can I do it again?
It's hard to think about much else until that one's finished. But I have been working on. We were talking about this before we started recording. I have been working on an Endless Tarot deck that is Endless Oracle style, but the tarot cards. And I have been kind of unable to decide whether or not I want to just release that all as one whole deck in like a year or two, or if maybe after I finish the major cards, releasing that as an expansion to the Endless Oracle and releasing the minor cards later to kind of finish out the tarot deck. So
and Jaime has an opinion on that. Jaime?
Right.
What?
I would love anyone's opinion on that because I can't decide what I want to do.
Do it.
You want it as one deck or as majors and then minors?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Major only decks suck.
Right. And I don't like them either. And I don't think I would ever make a majors only deck if it weren't for the fact that the Endless Oracle already exists and that this could function as an expansion to it.
Absolutely.
But
Agreed.
so could the entire 78 card deck. And so that has made it to where I can't decide.
Yeah, because I get your logic though. I get your logic though about connecting it to the
Yeah, I understand your logic. I mean, I'm not patient. I want everything all at once.
I'm not patient either, and I want to use new Myriorama cards as soon as I can. So
right.
I'm going to point this out that Pamela said, I'm just going to call it the linen edition.
Editions. Put an S on that. Editions.
Editions.
And Beth said, I want one 78 card deck or 80, 82. And, you know, since you asked, and Jonathan is one full deck. And Pamela said the Endless Tarot matching linens. So, but
I am getting more comfortable with the idea of making bigger decks. Like when I made Inkwitch, it was 78 cards because I couldn't afford to make like extra lovers and devil cards or that kind of thing as part of the base deck. That was the very first thing I'd ever made like that. I had a much smaller audience. I thought maybe like 15 people were going to buy that deck and that it would never be printed again after that. So now that I have a little bit more of an audience and a lot more confidence, I am more comfortable putting extra cards into the deck. It makes things more expensive, but I also feel less afraid of that. So
yeah.
Something I want to do with the second edition of Inkwitch is just put the extra lovers and devil cards in the base deck. I'm working on different expansions for them as optional things, but I'm just going to put the lovers and devils extras.
And so since you brought that up, here's the original lovers, and here's the original devil. So you have that. Here's the birds lovers.
Love them.
I adore them. I adore that one. And the devil, I'm just like going, ooh, dude, you're smart. I mean, that's good. That's really good. So, and and for me, I know you were ambiguous about the birds, but in my mind, they're both male cardinals, but that's just my mind because, that's how I see the world. And then here's the two female presenting lovers, and then the devil with them. What's it like seeing these on screen? Have you seen them on screen before?
Yeah, I've seen them on screen. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Here's the male female aspect, I'll call it. And then so we have that, and then the devil. So
love them.
Yeah. Love them. And I have all of these in the deck.
Yeah.
So
I still have the original, the two guys. I call them Adam and Steve. I still have Adam and Steve in the deck, but I've thought about putting the one with the birds and the cat in there also, because I feel like maybe that means something different to me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And they're so good.
Mm-hmm.
They're so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're at 1 hour and 17 minutes. That has flown by. I appreciate it. Was there anything else in this? By the way, this is the Endless Oracle guidebook, and it is set up to where you have some keywords associated with it, and then you have creative notes, which are very nice. And then you also talk about in the sky.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, there's something in the sky on every card, like that rainbow, or sometimes it's something, if you're not looking for it, you'd miss it, like a constellation or like a little dwarf planet or something.
Yeah. Well, and then you have a lot of spreads in this. So, I mean, and I love me an index.
Mm-hmm. Keep that up. Yeah.
Love me an index. So there's that. Jaime, do you have anything before we head out?
No, I am very thankful. I appreciate the fact that you were willing to come and sit between us and play the game and hear. I don't think there's a lot of bad, you know what I mean, in the pokes, and that you were a good sport about, my silly ass snail.
I'm very glad you mentioned the snail, because I honestly had never noticed that in that card before, and it really has changed how I'm going to see that card from now on, I think. And I'm regretting that I didn't know about that when I was working on Inkwitch, but I haven't made that card yet for the Endless Tarot, so now I can remember to put a snail there.
Nice. That's awesome. But again, thank you very much. It was very nice.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and I like talking about myself, so this was great.
Yeah.
Well, and and a lot of people are enjoying, have enjoyed this. It's been very informative. Read the description for all of the details. You can find everything out at, everything Eric, and you didn't know, now you do. You're learning.
That'd be a great website, though. Everything Eric.
Everything Eric. Everything like Eric. And Peter J. Watts is in here. Lovely Oracle, Eric. We just talked to Peter J. Watts earlier today. So we did a lovely conversation.
Another lovely human being. Thank you.
Yeah, another lovely human being. So we talked about that and his Oracle of the Anime Mundi. So, but
Oh God, we're gonna end just in time unless somebody's gonna go and get them.
Yep. So
go, Jonathan, go. Anyway,
go, Jonathan. Do it. Do it. Get rid of it. Well, can I do that?
Can you? Do that. I know I can't because I don't have my stuff open.
I blocked the user.
There it goes. Bye-bye. See you later. Fuck off.
Hero Destroyer is somebody who periodically shows up and then does things in chat to try to, be annoying. So,
yes.
All right. Thank you, Eric.
Guys.
Gosh, this has been great. And there's so much good stuff to, to look forward to as we're continuing to play with the decks that we have. So,
yeah.
And all right, everybody, take care. Thank you.